Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7, and I am back with our usual 2 million credit guide. For this week we are at Suzuka in Group 2 and we are in the NSX racing on medium tyres. Obviously BOP is on, no setups allowed, this is all default setup, and yeah, hopefully we can help you get these 2 million credits as quickly and as easily as possible. It's not the hardest one for me personally. I like this combination. I think there's more time available than what I've done here, but yeah, it's a combination that I particularly enjoy. I can just jump on and get a reasonable lap straight away. So it didn't take me too long to get this lap sorted. And I actually pushed it enough to get ourselves quite high up there. I think we actually got to P1 in the world at the time of doing it, but it will drop down because there was mistakes on my lap. So to enter these time trial events, simply click into the sport mode, and then you'll be greeted with the online time trial. Click into that, and then you'll be greeted with 3 separate time trials. I have a guide for every one of them up on my channel in the 2 million credit playlist, so check that out. But you can see I'm at this point of doing this. We were P1 in the world with a 49.2 with mistakes in it. So the gold is a 52.5, 54.6 for silver, and 2 minutes 1 for the bronze. Now I would take another 7 temps off each of them. I actually think I could get a 48.7, 48.8 round here. So I predict you're going to see 48.4s and 48.5s within a couple of days. So yeah, you will need to go a little bit quicker than what the gold currently is. So if you want to load my ghost up, simply go into the top 10 or onto the leaderboard, click my ghost, and it'll be there for you to challenge. So starting the lap, let's go into this and try and help you get these 2 million credits as quickly and as easily as possible. Now, one thing you have to get in your mind with these cars is these cars have an insane amount of grip and downforce. So you're not driving a Group 3 car. These cars have way more downforce, and you can really chuck the cars into the corner. So going into turn 1, we're not going to brake until very, very late. See, going past 100, past the 100, and now we're going to try and turn this car into the curb that you can see up ahead. You want to take a nice line that clips the apex. So you can see onto the brakes extremely late here. You can see just getting on the brakes just before the curb on the right side, and then we're going to go down through the gears, down to second gear just before we hit the curb on the left. You really want to try and widen the line in from, you can see how the ghost I'm chasing's got it up to the curb and then rotating it in. I go a little bit tighter through there, but I do get it back up to third gear and onto the throttle quite nicely, so don't actually lose out anything. If anything, we might have actually gained through there. Now into the next left-hand corner, we're going to go into fourth gear, and we're not really going to go aggressive on the brakes. You're just going to see a tiniest little dab of the brakes. So you can see, look at that tiny input of braking and a lift off the throttle. That's just to get a bit of weight onto the front of the car. And then you can see we're just going to let it go through this corner in fourth gear. And then a tiny dab of the brakes again as we're in between these two corners. Down to third gear, let it rotate, coasting the car at this point, then onto the throttle to get a bit of rotation, and then again left hand tire, you want to try and get up onto this curb on the left. So we're going to do a tiny dab of the brakes before the curb on the left there, and let that left hand tire get up onto the curb, and then you can put that throttle back in, and then just be careful through here that you don't run too far wide. And again, tiniest little dab of brake, and then probably a little lift off the throttle there, and then you can see just trail braking the car through the corner, down to second gear for a bit of extra rotation through this corner, then back up to third gear, and now we're going to rotate the car from the right hand side and swing it in to this left hand corner. So you can see a little lift off the throttle here. I kind of miss the apex slightly here. You really want to just clip that curb on the left. You can see I get very close to it, but maybe a few inches further to the left would have meant I wouldn't have had to lift off the throttle so much there. So a bit of a mistake there, maybe a 1/10 of a second lost. And now into this next right hand corner, we're going to use the 50 board as our brake reference, braking just before that 50 board. So down to fourth gear, let the car rotate. You're not going to come out of fourth gear, you're going to stay in fourth gear here. So you're going to actually get back on the throttle before the curb. You can see there, onto that throttle, super aggressive as we go onto the curb. And then down to third gear as we've got the car straightened up. Once the car's straightened up, onto the brakes, down to third gear, down to second gear, then back up to third gear before we hit the curb on the right. So you can see, just as we're clipping the curb on the right, we're going back onto that throttle and into third gear to try and get the maximum acceleration out of this corner. Be careful the rear doesn't slide a bit there. You can see I lose a little bit of traction, maybe lose half a tenth there. And now into the next braking zone, we're going to use the end of the curb here on the right hand side as our braking reference. I'm going to brake just as I go past that, and once the car's straightened up, so you can see car straightening up now, onto the brakes. Keep the car in a straight line as you're braking into this corner to the full width of the track. And then we're going to go down and try and square the car off with this rotation through here. So you're going to see down through the gears, down to first gear. Then we're going to go back up to second gear as we go on the throttle there. And 70% throttle you can see. And then once I'm confident, before we straighten the car up, once we can feel that grip there, we're going maximum throttle. And a little bit of wheel spin will not lose you much time. It can actually gain you time if you get the right amount of wheel spin out of that exit. Now we're going into the next left-hand corner to spoon corner, and we're going to use this tarmac on the right-hand side as our reference for where I'm going to brake. I'm braking just before that bit of tarmac, down to third gear quite aggressively, and now we're going to rotate this left-hand tyre into the first curb on spoon corner. So you can see clip that apex, then back onto the throttle to use the full width of the track on the outside so that you can rotate it into the last part of the spoon corner. So tiny bit of brake input again for that rotation on the front end. That will help as we trail brake through the corner to rotate it in and try and get that angle into this corner, because you want to get on the throttle as quickly as possible. So upshift to third gear nice and early, and then put that throttle really aggressively down and just try and keep it in the track. Sometimes you will get a bit of understeer, it'll run wide, but if you nail it, you can really maximize the exit all the way down this straight, and you're going to gain massively on this long straight. Through 130R, this is a no corner in this car. You're just going completely flat out. Just try and keep your inputs nice and smooth. And now we're going into the final braking zone, braking in between the 150 and the 100 board, a little bit closer to the 150 though. Braking inputs going in there, and you can see what I do here is I'm braking very aggressively down with the downshifting, but I can see that I've braked maybe a fraction too late, so I'm having to turn in very early. So you can see my line goes a little bit earlier than the leaders, the ghosts that I'm chasing, but we get it over the curb quite nicely. And then you can see as I come through here, get it onto the curb again quite nicely, following the exact line that the leader's doing. And you want to try and keep your left hand side just on that green bit of AstroTurf. And then just be careful your right hand side doesn't go too far to the right, and be careful on the throttle as you put the power down there, and then keep the car to the right hand side for the shortest distance to the finishing line. And I go over with 149.233, which, like I say, did get us up to P1. I think it's already been knocked off, but I think we're still in the top 10, which is pretty good for the time of doing this video. I'm actually pretty confident we could get this time a lot quicker than what I've done here as well, because I feel quite confident with this combination, but I won't be going back onto it. But let's have a watch of that lap again from the chase camera, using the kilometers now as that extra bit of help. And now we're going to see, you can really see about using the curbs, swinging it in, getting that left hand tyre again. You can see just getting it up onto the curb, using the throttle, and then through here, letting the car get onto the curb. Try and roll the car almost through the curb on that right hand corner, letting it just graze it all the way through the corner. You can see a little bit of loss of time there where I had to lift off the throttle and run a little bit wide. That was one of the mistakes on the lap. And then again through here, you can see that little waggle on the rear of the car as we come out the second exit here, out of this corner here. You can see the rear just go a little bit loose. There you can just see a little bit of loss of traction, half a tenth maybe lost there. And then into the next braking zone. Again, you can see straight braking zone, then turn it in, use first gear for rotation, then back up to second gear. And you can see I'm on maximum throttle before I straighten the car up, because what you want to do is you want to get a bit of wheel spin really to really propel yourself out of that corner. Now into the next braking zone, you can see the grey bit of tarmac on the right hand side. We're braking just before that. And again, using the full width of the track, you can see I had a little bit more space that I could have used there for chucking this car in. Maybe a tenth or so to gain on the exit of that corner and push it a little bit more down this straight. So probably a couple of attempts, 3 attempts down on my optimal lap at this point. And now we're going to just go flat out again, like I say, through 130R. It's completely flat. You do not need to lift. Just keep it nice and smooth. And now into the next braking zone, where again you can see I turn in a little bit early because I have to, because I've braked maybe a fraction too late. We get it up onto the curb, onto the throttle. Maybe could have been a bit more aggressive on the throttle there. You can see I understeer a little bit on the exit of that corner, and then we just get it back over to the right hand side and over for a 49.2. So there's definitely a 48 in that lap for me. 100% I think I could get that if I was to push this time trial. But yeah, let me know in the comment section if it helps you out. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comment section if these videos help you out. I do love reading them comments. So yeah, we'll see you for more of these in the future. Thanks again for watching, everyone.